Hello, everyone. Nathaniel Gavronsky here. And unless you've been hiding under a rock, you will realize there's a very important election coming up here on November 8th. That's a very, very short time from now. And the elections are heating up. The campaigns are all over the place, and they're trying to reach out to voters. And I want to talk to you about a couple of those rallies. So, Zeldin has been having rallies all over the state of New York, and his rallies are growing. There are more and more people supporting Lee Zeldin for governor all across the state. I've been to three of his rallies in the city limits in the last couple of days, and the crowds are getting larger. There's a large, diverse crowd of people there from all ethnic backgrounds, religions, people who were born here, people who came moved to New York from some other part of the United States, and a lot of people from different parts of the world that are all backing Lee Zeldin for governor. There's been a big push for medical freedom in the state of New York. There's been a big push against the COVID mandates that the current governor, Kathy Hochul, has been pushing, and the taxes and congestion pricing for people who need to drive to get to where they're going because of disability or the fact that public transportation in New York City is not safe, especially for those who are on disability and those who are limited mobility and who could be easy victims um, for violent crime. The current administration of the state of New York under the Hochul has not heard the pleas of these people and have ignored their cries for help. So recently, Kathy Hochul was supposed to speak at her own rally on the Upper West Side at the corner of West 73rd and Broadway. There's a subway station there, and recently she has announced how she was going to crack down on subway crime by putting more police officers in the subway stations. However, when the mayor of New York City, also a Democrat, asked her to remove the current New York Manhattan DA because he refused to prosecute any of these crimes and do something with cashless bail, she refused, saying she didn't have enough evidence that this was a requirement to improve the lives of people in New York. But now the election's out, and now that she is behind in the polls, now she all wants to be all about law and order. In reality to it, she was really a law and order candidate. She would have been doing something about the crime in the subway system and crime in general in New York City for a long time. And she has blatantly ignored those pleas, not only from everyday New Yorkers, but also from the elected officials, even within her own party, that have asked her to step in. So the rally was supposed to be held Sunday, October 23rd, at the 73rd and Broadway subway station. She was supposed to speak. She was supposed to arrive there with her other Democratic ticket on her ticket to explain why she was the best move and the best choice for New Yorkers. Jerry Nadler, who's running for New York 12th congressional district, he was there. He spoke very briefly and got off the stage because the person running against him happened to organize a bit of a counter rally. Now, this counter rally had 4-to-1 ratio of supporters over those who were supporting Kathy Hochul and Jerry Nadler. A lot of people were again asking, why won't you debate your opposition, especially for Nadler, who's held 0 debates, and Governor Hochul, who's only held 1. Why isn't there more transparency and questioning? You can get your word out, but there's a lot of people who have slow questions, and she didn't show. The governor, who was supposed to speak at an event in New York City, the deepest part of blue of New York City, was a no-show because these signs here were outnumbered by these signs. In fact, this sign I picked up out of the trash. A lot of her supporters that were there were so disenfranchised and so let down by the fact that she didn't show up, they tossed them. In fact, a lot of the volunteers, all of her lit, ended up in the trash. I watched them throw it all away. And so this was literally picked up out of the trash in the deepest blue part of New York City. And I saw a few people that were walking away. They were so disheartened that instead of walking through the city holding this up, they were carrying it down, and many of them, as they came near the nearest garbage can, tossed them. That's New York City, and in the most liberal parts of New York City. However, these signs I'm seeing everywhere. They're being carried all across the city, all over the state, and people are looking for change. So this election is going to be really interesting. For New York, the last election, only 19% of the entire voting population turned out. There are dictatorships that have a larger turnout for the opposition than New York had at all, in its entirety of its voters. So if you are a conservative and you really want to make a change, if you don't normally vote, this is the time. If you're an independent and you desperately want change, this is the time to go to vote if you don't normally vote. And here's the thing: there's a lot of Democrats, city councilors, state Senate and Assembly members who were supporting the Republicans in this election because they know that it's desperately needed to have a change in direction in Albany. And so this is our time to make that biggest change so we can get our state back. A lot of the signs say vote Lee Zeldin and save New York, and that might be the most truest campaign slogan I've ever seen. So Kathy Hochul was a no-show at her own event, and the people who showed up there in support of Lee Zeldin, a lot of, and for those people have a lot of thanks to give to Mike Zumblakis. He is running for the congressional 12th district here in New York against Jerry Nadler. He helped organize a good chunk of the people who showed up there to show they support medical freedom. They don't want the COVID lockdowns anymore. They want lower taxes. They want something done about the crime rate here in New York City. Mike organized that entire thing, and so he's enabling more people to speak their mind and get their voices out than what the current governor of New York is doing and what their current member of Congress and Jerry Nadler has been doing. Nadler showed up but left very, very quickly afterwards when they were outnumbered. They don't want to debate. They don't want it to be questioned. They want everyone to just believe their rhetoric and then go on about their day. So a couple of things I want you to do. One is I want you to go to zeldinfornewyork.com. I want you to sign up and help out in these last 2 weeks. If you want to donate, please do so. And we can the more money you donate, like even if it's dollars, small amounts, actually goes quite a bit. I know they're doing phone banking. I know they're still doing door knocking across the state. Go to zeldinfornewyork.com. And so it's FOR. It's not the number. It's spelled out for New York, spelled out in NEWYORK.com, and sign up. Also, I want you to go to electmikez.com. He's running for New York's 12th congressional district against Jerry Nadler, someone who was, when he was on the transportation committee as a chairman, when subways in his district were flooding, did nothing. No hearings. When the Long Island Railroad had two major accidents very close to each other, no hearings on Long Island Railroad passengers and safety. He was on the transportation committee and did nothing. He let the zero fingers. He gave zero hearings on it, zero conferences on it, asked no inquiries, no bills, no nothing. He let everyone in his district down. He let everyone in New York City and state down, where Mike has been an active participant in improving the lives of every New Yorker, even in his current job. So I think that we need to look strongly, especially if you live in New York's 12th congressional district, at going to electmikez.com, talking to your neighbors, help donate to his campaign, explaining, maybe, Nadler, who for some of you early voters, some of you really, really young voters, those of you that have just started voting in your 18, 19, 20, I want you to understand something, that for some of you, your grandparents were not alive yet when Jerry Nadler took office for the very first time. A lot of you, your parents weren't alive when Jerry Nadler took office. So, he's been in there for a long time, and I can't really speak for any of the great things that he's done because he really hasn't carried his weight in Congress compared to what a lot of other members of Congress do for their constituencies. And I think that it's time that we move in a different direction and get someone who's going to represent all of New Yorkers, not just his party's ideology. So remember to vote November 8th, 2022, and let's save New York. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.